This is a recording from the Sunday, January 24, 2016 meeting of the BC Humanist Association in Vancouver. To learn more about humanism and to support our work, visit bchumanist.ca.
All right. Well, I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker today, who is Nader Abdullah of the Syrian Canadian Council. And he's also brought some very new arrivals to Canada with him. They don't have much English, but we're very happy to have them here. So we have been welcoming all along. Welcome again.
Salam alaikum.
Well, that was interesting.
Shalom.
Do you say shalom? Ah.
Peace.
Yeah, okay. Good. And Nader is with the Syrian Syrian Canadian Council, and he's here to speak today about the council and their work. I think we're all going to find this very interesting. So, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Now, after you've spoken, we'll pass the mic around for any questions or comments that people have. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm really pleased to be part of this meeting today, and just to give you a background about Syria, about the crisis in Syria, the problem there, what's going on there, and what are we doing here as the Syrian Canadian Council, as part of the non-profit organization who try to help Syrians and other even newcomers to the to British Columbia. So before this crisis, no one knows Syria, correct? So when you say Syria, so where's Syria? So no one knows about Syria. Now Syria is everyday news and topic of every show. So what is Syria and what's going on there? So Syria, in fact, is a land of diversity. It's similar to Canada, similar to many other countries in the world. Syria usually is located in the east coast of Mediterranean, and it's surrounded by Turkey, Iraq, Israel, Jordan, Palestine, and other Gulf countries. So this is Syria here in the middle of, and it's in the heart of the ancient world. So, in Syria also there is a diverse nature. So you can find deserts, you can find mountains, you can find beaches, you can find all types, valleys, rivers, everything is there. The history of Syria is like located at the heart of the ancient world. So Syria was historically the crossroads of or for commerce and trade from Gulf, from South Asia and West Asia to Europe. So Syria usually connected all nations, Europe to Asia to Africa. And because of that, you can find many ethnic groups there. Syria naturally welcomed all kinds of refugees, same as Canada. So through the last century and last decades, we welcomed 100,000 of Armenians, Chechens, Circassians, we have Greeks, Romans, they still live there. You can ask them, are you Arabs? Will tell you, no, we are from Rome. So you can find all ethnic groups there. Syria welcomed lately, 2003 and after, 1,500,000 Iraqis, 500,000 Iraqis in less than 2 years. And they stayed there, they started their own businesses, Their kids went to schools. We welcome them. As people of Syria, as citizens of Syria, not just as government. We try to help them to establish their new life in Syria without any names. They are not refugees. They are not newcomers. They are just our brothers in this country. Similar to Palestinians, we have approximately 600,000 of them. They fled the country between, or they have two, in fact, two waves. The first wave was, I think, 1947, and the largest one was 1967. So they stayed there, they have their own businesses, they have their own life, and lately their camps or their areas were surrounded by the regime, and they tried to just get rid of them of the country. We will talk about this later. So you can find Assyrians until now in Syria, Akkadians, Greeks, Romans, and of course there's Ottomans and other things. So every nation controlled Syria. They left their stamps on the country. You can find ruins of Roman ruins, you can find Greeks, you can find Umayyads, you can find Assyrians, Akkadians, their stamps are on the ground, and you can find it everywhere in Syria. Even smallest village in Syria, you can find some traces of these civilizations as nations. So this is an example. There's Ugarit. So in Ugarit, you can find the oldest and first written alphabet in the world. It's 1400 BC. So this is discovered in Ugarit. There's Palmyra. Palmyra is now controlled by ISIS. Unfortunately, they destroyed a good amount of ruins there. And besides, even the regime militias, before they left the city, they just collected some of these ruins and disappeared, and you may find them later in anywhere in the world, sold to any place. And this is a good I visited Palmyra many times, and you can really smell there's how our people live. You can feel it. You can see how Zenobia, the queen of Palmyra, established a strong and a powerful empire at that time. And at that time, they even have the very well-known confrontation with the Roman Empire. There's Emsa. It's called now Homs. Also, there's Julia Domna, the empress, is also considered to be a powerful female figure in Syria history. Malula, here you can find the Aramic, or the Aramic language, the Crest language. They still speak this language until now. So the same language, you can find it in Malula. Malula is just 54 kilometers in the urban of Damascus, the capital. Damascus is the oldest inhabited capital in the world. Aleppo is the oldest inhabited city in the world. The ethnic diversities, as you said, you can find all. Arabs now is the majority of the population. You can find Kurds, Turkmens, Circassians, Armenians, Assyrians, all other nations or other ethnic groups are there. Some of these ethnicities were refugees fleeing from civil unrest, like Armenians, with Turks, like Circassian with Russia, and many other ethnic groups. Religious diversity, so we have all kinds of religions there. We have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Jews, we have even something we did not hear about it before. We have Mendaris, we have Ismailis, we have Druze, we have all kinds of those. And honestly, we don't know them. We don't know if you are Christian, or you are Muslim, or you are now Sunni or Shia. We don't know this before. This is just, and until now we don't know. Until now, if I meet one Syrian, like those guys here, I did not ask them if they are Christians, or if they are like Sunnis, or Shia, or whatever. We don't care about this, and this is something in our tradition. All the propaganda and the media, it's not true. It's a civil war, okay, but it's not a sex war. It's a war between dictatorship and the people. So some people stand with the dictators, others stand of all sects. You can find Sunnis with the regime, you can find Sunnis in the other side. You can find Christians in both sides. You can find Ismailis in both sides, Kurds in both sides, Druze in both sides. So it's not a sex war, it's more like civil war to get rid of dictatorship, and the other one would like to keep his power and his control on the country. So this is, and usually in Syria, and our people know that. And for example, in Christmas, so all Syrians celebrate Christmas. If you are Muslim, if you are Christian, if you are Druze, if you are whatever, we celebrate them. We go to their, like, to the, I myself, I go to church. I don't have any problem. I am Muslim, I am Sunni, okay, as you said. Like, so you need to understand what I am. I am Muslim, I am Sunni, I am Syrian. I don't consider if I am Arab or something like that. I am Syrian, particularly, so I don't want to give another declaration, even to as a Muslim Sunni, but I just want to tell you, like, all my friends, I learned my early years in school in a church for like the first 4 or 5 years. I spent the first years in church. My teacher was like called I think Hidi, okay? So, and she's still wearing our traditional clothing until now. When I call her, she's still in my city. When I call her, she's still wearing the same hijab, she's Christian, and the same traditional clothing. So we don't have that much differences between us, and we don't consider this until now as like something will separate Syrians of each other. It's more about like to get rid of the issue. So society characteristic, usually Syrians are educated. So we are talking about 75 or 70 to 75%. They have their high school and up. They are young, so we have 60% under 40, family-centered and religious tolerance. So this is the most important. These are some influential Syrians in the world. There's Malik Jindali, if you know, and Diana Hadid, Dr. Fuad Taifour, Jihad Abdul lately, and Paula Abdul. So all these are What about Syrians in Canada? So this is from Stats Canada. Stats Canada tell us like 48% of Syrian origin are university graduates here in Canada. Of course, the Syrian community in Canada, approximately 40,000 all over Canada. And most of them are in the east. In British Columbia, we were, before the last like newcomers, we were approximately 2,500. So Syrians, 48% of them are university graduate, compared to 28% in the total population of Canada. The rate of female of Syrian origin with a university degree is 45% compared to male 50%, but higher than the rate of all Canadian women. Labor force Syrian is lower 80% than the rate of the total population of Canada, which is 86. And this is understandable because of your experiences and other things. The labor force participation rate of females of Syrian origin is lower, 72%, compared to the national is 82%. And also other data out there. So the unemployment is 9.1 compared to the national one, which is 60.2%. And this is like also the employment rate for females is 64, lower compared to males 18, and to the national is 77%. So what about like Syrian crisis? So I don't call it Syrian crisis really, but I call it Syrian revolution. So what was there? What happened? And I met many people and they said, oh, you lived in a beautiful country and there was nothing. Why you did that? No one knows what's going on in Syria. It's not about salaries, it's not about money, it's not about any other thing. It's about our freedom, our dignity, our people, our young. They don't like have a future. They don't have even like any plans for their futures. You have to finish like a very limited number of, or a very, you don't have choices for universities, for example. So there are like 10 specific things you got, or 20 specific like colleges. You go there and nothing more. Like in here in Canada, you can go, like you can find lots of different specializations, colleges, studies, topics you can do there. You cannot do that. And if you finish your college or university, you cannot find a job easily. And if you are not like allied with the regime, like party, you cannot find a job. I couldn't find a job myself because I am not part of this party. So many lived in good like lifestyle because they are allied with the regime party. Others they couldn't. And our people, our youth, so the 30 and up to 15, they don't have any future. You have to serve in military for 2 or 3 years. You have to deal with corruption in military, in army. You need to deal with all kinds of corruption in like government organizations. And this revolution happened because of youth. All of them were youth. I went there in 2011, in June, and I experienced everything for 2 months. It was a very civilized, a very peaceful demonstrations, and the regime forces confront those unarmed civilians with all kinds of operation. They detain them, they shoot them to death, they did everything to them. And lately even they used like tanks. When I fled the city, what my plan was to stay there for like at least 6 months. And I fled the city. I forced to fled the city because the regime decided to invade the city with 350 tanks. Why? Because the people, at the last Friday, there were approximately 750,000 protesters in streets. Okay? And then they decided that's enough, we have to stop that. Okay? And they were like unarmed. I was there. I was part of this one. I went and met all the demonstrations through like the 2 months I spent them in Syria. So peaceful protests for a year, militarized the conflict in 2012. What happened? So many army officers, they decide to defect the military, the army, because of this problem, because they are killing honest people, and this is not their like function, or not their like job to do that. So all the factors try to protect other civilians, and many civilians joined them. So they formed something called Syrian Free Army. So Syrian Free Army, like formed by, I think, 2012, early 2012, maybe January or before, I don't remember exactly. But the first defector formed this army. It's called Syrian Free Army. And unfortunately, no one supported this army. No one supported this army because of some specific agendas in the country, and now you cannot find them. You just find them like in isolated areas, and they vanished for ISIS and Nusra fronts. So those guys are not extremists. They are Syrians. They are our people, and no one supported them, while many other countries supported ISIS. We don't know where ISIS came from. My city now is controlled by ISIS. It's called Deir ez-Zor, and it's surrounded by ISIS, 2 or 3 neighborhoods, and they besieged the city for more than 1 year, and they have no food, no electricity, no water, nothing. They eat leaves, they eat grass, they die because of they don't have food, because they don't have a proper medical care. So this is how ISIS came. So ISIS came in 2013, and they controlled the areas of Free Syrian Army. So they conducted massacres against Muslims, Sunnis. In one day, they killed 700 innocent civilians in one village. And they were Sunnis. They were not other sects. They were not Yazidis. They were not Kurds. They were not Christians. They were Sunnis. So those guys they don't represent Muslims. They don't represent Islam. And our people fled the country because of them and because of the regime. And this is the truth. Everyone needs to know about it. Our people, those guys, some of them, fled the country because of ISIS, not because of the regime by itself. if you want to make like a good like survey on this one, you will find it 50-50. 50 fled because of ISIS, and most of them are Sunnis, and the rest fled because of the regime. So now it's complicated conflict and a place of proxy war. So it's a war of others in our land. Russia, US, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, Iran, all of them. All of them are fighting in our land and our people. And we have some questions. Why you don't stay there and defend your country? How can we do that? Can we defeat like warships, tanks? Who can support us? No one supports Syrians. They support those guys. They left Syrians to unknown. Syrians now they are hopeless. And those guys they came because they don't find any future or any hope in that country. And it's not their war. When you ask them, it's not their war. They will tell you why we should fight someone why we should fight our people even. And who are they? ISIS and Nusra Front. They came from everywhere in the world. They came from Europe, they came from US, they came from Canada, they came from China. There are families came from China. Approximately 200 families with all generations, they came to Syria. They want to fight. Fight whom? You don't know. So this is a little background about what's going on. It's our point of view as Syrians who have connections on ground, and we don't deal with media. We deal with our people. We listen to them, and we understand what do they want and what's their concern. So this is a quick fact about also Syrians. So 50 million displaced, and this is the worst humanitarian crisis since World War II. And the refugee waves started 2015, the largest one. And this is like in Turkey now, approximately, this is the UN figures, and the other figure says like more than 3 million in Turkey. Now in Jordan, more than 2 million. In Lebanon, approximately 2 and more. And it's escalating. I just read now, there's 300 families waiting on Turkey's borders to go to Turkey, and the Turkey government or the borders guards stopped them today, early morning. 300 families. So it's escalating, and it's like going to be, or towards more than now. So this is basically about Syria and about what's going on in Syria. So briefly, I will talk about newcomers to Canada and what's their concerns and what we are doing to them. So basically, Syrians who are coming here, and the first wave of them, they came with no English. Okay, so the government criteria, it seems like to bring families, the large families with, so the average now is 7 per family. So 2 parents and 5 children, or 5 members, other members. So, and some families have 11 kids, 13. So you can find these numbers. So this is the figure. Those guys are skilled. They have their own trades, but they don't have English. All of them. I'm talking about the majority, let's talk about, so those the government assisted refugees. The government, the GAR, G-A-R, okay? So they came with no English, with large families. So they're concerned. The first thing is the housing. We can't find houses for them. 7 members, 8, 10, 11, 12. It's not easy to find something for them. Besides, it's not affordable. Like for them, they cannot pay. Like if you want to rent, for example, a house for 13 members of a family, you need like a house of 6 bedrooms, for example. Okay, and to rent a 6 bedrooms, you need to spend approximately $2,500 per month. And if we make our calculation, we will discover this will not be, whatever the government give them will not be enough to continue their life. Besides, they want to learn English, they're eager. So the first question I receive every time I welcome a new family, how can we find a job? You can't find a job now. You have to learn English first, then you can find a job. So yeah, so the first thing is the housing. They find a permanent housing. The second one is the English. And the waiting list is so long, takes sometimes 6 months to 1 year. The government now, the IRCC, so Immigration, Refugees, Citizenship Council, I think, yeah. They opened the fund for non-profit organizations to expand their programs, especially the English programs for those newcomers. So we hope like there will be no waiting for them. Our part, Syrian Canadian Council, we welcome them. We try to help them to find accommodation, new permanent housing. We assess their most urgent needs. We try to assess even their like qualifications, their skills, and give them the proper advice to where to go. So find a job right away, to continue study, to whatever you do. Because some of them, they want license. If you have if you are a plumber, for example, you need a license. If you are an electrician, you need a license. If you are a mechanic, you need a license. So all these things. Some of them found jobs. So one of them now still live in Richmond, Welcome House, and he already found a job. He's a barber, and he will start next Monday. So they're eager to work, they're eager to find job, they're eager to depend on themselves. They don't believe in stay on the government assistance because they used to work. Our people are business-minded and hard workers. So all of them will try to find their own ways when they will learn the basic English. So this is basically everything about this presentation. Thank you very much for having me, and I really appreciate you listening and your eagerness to understand about everything about Syria. Thanks.